Sup flappers, welcome back to another video. Today I want to keep this conversational. There's going to be no script, so I might have some weird jump cuts here and there, so bear with me. But I assure you that the topic that we are going to be discussing today is something that's very close to my heart. I'm sure it's close to a lot of people, and in some ways it's going to be a concern for others, right? And we're talking about the expectations of Inazuma. And there's something that comes with all expectation, which is build-up, anticipation. And it can be very dangerous. What I'm trying to do with this video is not to tell miHoYo how to run their game or tell you how to play your game. I'm just simply stating concerns that I think the general community is sharing, okay? So first and foremost, I want to talk about this from the player's perspective, and then later on in the video, I'll talk about this from content creators' perspective. And while you may think that why should we care about content creators, I would argue a great and healthy content creator community is what also helps drive the backbone of a successful gacha game or just a game in general, right? You're not going to be spending all your time playing the game, and when you're off of the game, you sometimes would want to consume content for the game. So I do think the content creators are very important in a game's longevity and just its general health. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now let's first start with the general player base. I want to ask you this question, right? So what is your purpose in playing Genshin Impact? It may have changed since the first day you started playing, and of course our purpose evolved. Sometimes when we first came in, it was because a friend told us about this game, it's great, it's amazing, and we just wanted to play some games with friends. Then you fell in love with the overworld, and you found that exploring the world was super exciting, and eventually a character was released that you just absolutely adore. You picked up that character, and then you start playing the game and you do everything with that character, and eventually it turned to the abyss, right? Like you wanted to finish the challenges. But right now we're at a current stage of the game where it feels like Genshin Impact is just one game with a bunch of smaller mini games inside it, which are what we call these events, right? These events rarely give anything of permanence, and most of the time we are only doing them or slaving away at doing them for the very minimal rewards of the primo gems that they do give us, so we can start stocking up to save for certain characters, which eventually we now know will definitely be outdated. It's just part of gacha games, right? It's nothing new, it's not anything revolutionary. But here's the problem: Genshin was revolutionary. It was this new big thing that kind of transcended and blew past all its predecessors. And in a way, I guess it's our fault for hyping it up so much, for thinking that it was going to be something that it clearly did not want to be. So moving towards Inazuma, what's the problem? The problem is if Genshin stays the exact same way as it currently is, with minimal new features, with no meaning for miHoYo to clear up some of the endgame issues, the older players, the players that started back in last September or even like late 2020, they're definitely gonna start burning out. They're gonna start bleeding off once they go through to Inazuma. They're gonna just use the interactive map. The majority of people are just gonna use the interactive map to collect all the resources, to just bundle everything up to get more primo gems so they can summon for the new characters, and it's just a cycle that never ends, right? It's part of the gacha cycle, and eventually you burn out. You're like, you know what, I'm just literally doing the same thing. All I'm looking forward to are essentially the characters. I don't enjoy playing the game. I play the game so I can get the characters. To do what with those characters? To play the game to get more characters, right? When the game is about collecting characters, solely about collecting characters, then it starts to lose flavor. It starts to lose its original charm. And why is this coming out now? It's because right now everyone is looking towards Inazuma. Everyone and everything, content creators, free-to-play players, even players who aren't playing the game probably is like, we'll see how Inazuma turns out and we'll see if I'm gonna want to jump on this game. Everyone and everything is pointed towards Inazuma, and I feel like the hype is way too much. Now, of course, I think miHoYo is going to deliver. miHoYo is going to deliver, and we're going to have that fantastical feeling when Inazuma first releases. We're going to be wild. The game is going to explode again, probably even almost double the current player base. I want to say there's going to be old players coming back. There's going to be new players pouring in, and miHoYo is probably going to run some sort of ad campaign to just push. But at the end of the day, it's just like Dragon Spine, but bigger. Or another big problem is we likely will spend more time in Inazuma and then just completely forget about Liyue and Mondstadt. Genshin Impact does not encourage replayability. This is a thing that I have been talking about since I want to say when I first started this channel. It does not encourage replayability. So look at Dragon Spine, look at Mondstadt, the general area. You don't really go there until you are forced to go either through commission or you're doing your weekly bosses, right? And I think this is a core issue of the game that somehow needs to be resolved as the game continues to develop. Replayability, whether in the form of just pure grinding, farming monsters, killing monsters, or in other features that miHoYo can come up with. I'm sure miHoYo, a billion-dollar company hiring these great minds at game design, can come up with better ideas than, myself or some people, random Joe from the Genshin community. So I'm sure they're going to tackle this issue. It's just that there is a time clock, an invisible one that I feel like it's ticking. Once you bleed a certain amount of players, it's really hard to, once again, kickstart the game back up again, right? Once people have given it a try, they feel like they've burned through 9 months, a year of their time giving this game a shot, and then they quit and they're left with this impression, right? This is essentially, this entire journey is going to be one big impression, and they don't have a good time. When you don't have a good time, good experience, no matter how much change has happened to the game, you find it hard to go back in and give it a second chance. And I feel like miHoYo currently still has the vast majority of the player base's attention and expectation dangling by a thin thread. And I feel like Inazuma is gonna be the thing that either makes them tug the thread and we all jump along, back onto the train, or that thread's just gonna snap, okay? And I'm sorry, I don't want to bring all this negativity before the drop of a huge patch, but at the same time, I feel like we need to temper our expectations. We need to know that game development takes a long time, right? A proper game, just think back to League of Legends, it took a while before the game developed into what it is today, which is still not that great of a game. I mean, how many people here has played League and it's left such a bad taste in their mouth that I am never going back to League of Legends. It doesn't matter what they say, what they do. Even if they change the system, they, reduce toxicity. I don't know how they're going to do that, but you're not going to want to go back because it was so bad, right? The final experience you had with the game was so bad. And I feel like currently Genshin Impact is starting to get to that state. And I know a lot of people in my community who started the game, just like I did back in September of last year. And slowly they've all been just dropping off. They're like, you know what? There's no purpose. There's no reason to play the game. You're not even playing anymore. You're not playing the game. It's like a chore. You're logging in to do these things, not because you want to do them. You're doing these things to get these resources so you can do this other thing in this game that you really want, which is pulling for the characters, which is what miHoYo has done really well, and they're drip feeding us in that aspect as well. So if you're not enjoying the game, then what are you doing, right? So for the players, really do consider this question. What are you doing in this game? Are you doing this thing because you really enjoy it? Because I gotta be honest, it feels like every time a new event comes out, I'm learning something new because it's just another mini game. It's a mini game inside of a bigger game, and I'm forced to learn this mini game to get this premium currency if I'm free to play, because there's no really other ways to get it. That's it. And while it feels like, oh, well, miHoYo's introducing something new here, they just strip it away afterwards, and then something comes up and it's completely new again, right? It all feeds into this never-ending loop, and it's not even meaningful because there is no trackable progression. It's just the abyss, and then the abyss resets, and then you do it all over again. With Inazuma, something has to change. If this cycle just continues going with more characters, with a new region, it's just gonna be like Dragon Spine, right? It's just gonna be like Dragon Spine. Don't want that to happen. And now let's talk about the content creators, all right? So when it comes to content about this game, it's really just event after event after event. Let's be honest, character guides, while I do make character guides, I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of character guides, most people are starting to understand, right? It's not the most difficult thing to get. DPS characters, you get attack percentage sands, whatever element they usually are, or whatever damage they deal, you get that damage on the cup, and then you get crit damage on the headpiece. It's very rare a character comes out where you need to kind of mix this formula up. Even for the substats, crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, energy regen, or elemental mastery, it's not anything revolutionary. It's just the same thing. So the other content, you know, we got Tectone with his personality, we got the Blob who's just doing game playthroughs, we got the free-to-play people, we got the entertainment people, and we got the meme people. And if you really pay attention to most of these people, their views are also starting to fall off. Why? It's because it's just the same old. There's nothing new, there's nothing of importance really to talk about. And even Majestic, people are also starting to consume his content less. Why it's that? Because it comes to a point where everybody knows what's gonna happen. It's just a new character. What does this character do? A new region. Wow, so exciting. I wonder, you know, what's gonna happen there. New events. I wonder what those events are gonna be. Probably just more mini games that are small that literally could be small individual games. You literally could take any one of these games and make them into an app of their own and have people play them. That's what they are. They're just these mini games. To be honest, I think the player base is starting to be able to even predict the future themselves. Apart from exactly what's gonna happen, they know what to expect, and there's really nothing too exciting about it. And even content creators are starting to shy away from certain types of content. I know my good friend, you know, Braxophone, he has currently came out with a statement on his channel saying, and people are starting to get very toxic. They're bringing personal attacks into their discontent, I would say, with the current game state. And guess what? Content creators end up suffering. And I know a lot of people are starting to migrate away. Good example, Damone Kim, he's gone. My good friend Jazzy, who used to make guide content, he's kind of taking a break from the whole Genshin thing. Braxophone is wanting to shy away from guides. And of course, furthermore, there's less and less meaningful content about the game. And it's really just content talking about the game. You know what I mean? We're not really playing the game as much anymore, as opposed to we're making content about the current game state. Look at Tectone's recent videos. Look at you know, even I know there's an upcoming one called 1010. Look at his videos. Even I Win to Lose Gaming, somebody there, we're finding it difficult to make content for the game. And of course, miHoYo doesn't let us talk about any future releases about the game, quote unquote leaks, right? It's completely banned. So I feel like the current Genshin Impact content creator space is also getting choked out of air. And when content creators literally don't enjoy what they do anymore, it's not healthy for their mental state. They have to move on. And that's what's currently happening with some of the medium to smaller size creators, and the biggest one being Damone Kim. And I know Zeal's Ambition took some time off. Concept 2 took a month off from studying and just came back, and he's not as active as how he used to be. It's not looking good, right, for the content creator space. And I know most of you like, we don't care about the smaller creators. They can quit, they can leave, doesn't concern us. And you know what, that's fair. If you don't care about the smaller creators, if you don't care about the medium-sized creators, there's always going to be somebody who's making content for this game. That's just what Genshin Impact has come to grown to be. But just to let you know that diversification and having options is always a great thing. It breeds competition and it makes people up their game, right? There's a fire lit under your ass. You're always going to be putting in that much more effort to make sure the content you create is good. So in the end, I do hope Inazuma is gonna come back and rekindle this fire. I do think that a lot of content creators may come back to do a revisit. I know Damone Kim has talked about it, and I know a ton of other creators have their eyes on Inazuma, and that's what makes Inazuma so dangerous. It's live or die. I don't think most of these content creators are gonna be able to live through another year of Genshin content with the current game state to wait for another region release. And if Inazuma doesn't hit that mark with certain feature updates, it's just, we're going to be bleeding a ton of players away, and we're going to be bleeding a ton of content creators away. And personally, I feel like there are certain aspects of the game that I still enjoy quite a lot. It's just that takes up a smaller proportion comparatively to the bigger game. Like I said, Genshin feels like a bunch of smaller game pieced into one big game, and if you only enjoy this one aspect of the game and then this other giant aspect you're not really that interested in, that's a great way to explain the current state of Genshin. A lot of people want characters, more combat. A lot of people just want story and lore. A lot of people want more regions, more exploration. And of course, there's also a group of people who just doesn't care about anything. And as long as they have something free to play to occupy their time, they're happy. Genshin doesn't have an identity. So I do hope going forward, it starts to find one, because we really need to be able to tack this onto something and have it be something more concrete than just waifu collector, right? Beautiful 3D world solo gameplay MMO waifu collector. That's kind of what it is right now, sprinkled in with a bunch of mini game events. I don't know what to tell you. It's a lot of confusion right now, and expectations are high, and I can feel it. The air is thick in a way to say that you can cut the tension with the knife. It's so terrifying to think that if Inazuma doesn't end up being what the community is expecting of it, I mean, I don't need to spell it out for you guys, all right? So that's gonna be it for me. I've rambled on long enough. I know this video kind of is all over the place, but it's more of a discussion video to get the idea out there, to get it floating, to get people start talking about it. So thank you all for watching, and yeah, catch my live stream tomorrow if you want to talk more about it. And of course, I'm hosting a teapot tournament, a teapot review tournament, June 5th. All right, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well, and hope you guys are still enjoying the game. And I'll see you in my live stream tomorrow, all right? Stay safe, and peace.